Hi, happy Thursday. Really need to have a ramble and a rant. I can feel it coming up like vomit now. Oh dear. So it's the start of a second lockdown here, which is fucking marvellous, isn't it? Over the last few months, I've been sending my mum, and I went on a holiday with my mum and dad and the kids, like a little caravan holiday thing, in June or something, and I was just bombarding him, with information, telling him that, this is all just, suspect bullshit, blah, blah. And, it was quite, fun, quite a decent conversation. I showed him some things, and yeah, and anyway, so I've carried on every so often just sending my mum bits of shit, presuming that she's watching it, and she even sent a message a few weeks ago saying, yes, really seems like people are starting to wake up. And I'm thinking, wake up, fucking hell, like, does that mean you're waking up? I don't, and I was feeling sort of positive about my mum's perception or progression, I don't know. Anyway, so, yeah, a bit of good news happened the other day. Thank God, because it's been a run of bad luck for a fucking few years. But finally got a new car, and it's a new old one, but it's the nicest car I've ever had, and it's a nice little sporty Mini, and I'm just so happy. I'm over the moon. Like, the last car was so fucking cringe, and it was my dad's, and yeah, I'd just been irresponsible, I guess, and a few bumps and scrapes, and not fixing things and whatnot, exhaust pipe hanging off, and oh god. So I feel like I'm really grateful that finally, I've got a new car, and I'm going to really try and look after it. I can really feel the sort of the turnaround for me, like responsibility, like I'm legitimately insured and shit, and like this type of thing is quite a big deal for me. So it's like, I'm acting like a grown up. I feel good today. Although I'm looking at myself here and I'm like, definitely has broken. So my little girl, 2 weeks ago on Sunday, we were playing in the dark outside on a trampoline, which probably wasn't the best idea. Anyway, she flung herself at me, expecting me to catch her, which I did, but her head butted my front tooth there, and there was blood and gore and fat lip, and it's wobbly still, and I don't know what to do. Like, I've had such bad luck with my teeth. I've got 2 false ones back here on a fucking pallet, and I'm only in my early 30s, and it's just like, oh, my teeth, just the bane of my life, my whole life, and, anyway, but, so yeah, so it's wobbly, and I'm looking at it, it's discoloured, like my gums all discoloured. I won't show you anymore, but, and it's wobbly and it's lower than anyway, I'm just like, God's sake, I'm probably going to have to go to the dentist and get another fucking false tooth, and like, to have implants, it's like £2,000 per tooth, and it's like, who can afford that? So, golly, I'll probably end up with a full set of fucking dentures, but anyway. So, yeah, I've been having these sort of shameful, dirty feelings about things like that, and it's funny because it always coincides with when I'm just starting to feel good about myself, and it's like, I'll get a little bit of shit, like have another tooth fall out, or, something else will go wrong with anything, in the material that I put too much onus on. So, it's like, just got to surrender to it, haven't you? Hey, dear me. But yeah, it's just another reminder that, like, humanity and the way we live is so far away from the way things should be. And I'm guilty of this as well. And I know this sort of real feeling of, like, just looking after your health has really risen up in me. And I know it has in others as well. And I'm shit. I'm fucking shit. Like, I just sort of like, and I'm great in the summer. It's great in the summer because I really do feel like I get fed from the sun. But, in the winter and even the autumn, like now, I love it in some ways because I get to look at the stars at night, and that's great because I go to bed so early. I'm such a fucking lightweight these days. But yeah, so I like looking at this. Is such a fucking verbal diarrhea. Sorry, this is clearly just for myself. I like the dark sky so I can see the clouds, the stars, and the moon, and the planets. You can see the planets. You can see Mars at the moment, and Jupiter and Saturn, and it's just incredible. And I'm learning more every day about the stars and the constellations, and I'm looking up with my actual eyes to see where they are, and it feels so amazing. But I was on a moan about something. What the fuck was it? I don't know. So I wanted to have a little rant. This is why I came in here, because my mum... Oh, that was it. I did start off with that. My mum, fuck's sake, what a bloody journey me and her have had and continue to have. And I'm so emotional today, by the way, as well. Like, I've cried a lot already today at different things. They've really... And then culminating in this little message with my mum, so... Yeah, so I should talk through it. It's really funny. So, first day of this new lockdown, and my mum's texting me, and she's like, why don't you drive up in your new car and we'll speak through the window? And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, are you like, that to me is so tragic. Like, fucking sit and talk to you through the window on the drive like Romeo and bastard Juliet. Like, are you fucking kidding? You're not going to let me in the house again? Like, I thought you knew this was all a bit, if nothing more than overblown bullshit. You know, like I never expect anyone to go as far down the spectrum as my mind can perceive. I'm not that fucking deluded, but I thought, you know, that she wouldn't sort of like be like, again, this self-imposed misery, you know, like, she's texting me like, I love you, I really miss you, I wish we could see you. And I'm like, you can, like, what are you fucking doing? Do you think your neighbours are going to snitch on you? Like, her road is so away from shit as well. I'm like, what are you doing? I can't understand the psyche. So I asked this morning, I'm like, right, fucking hell, are you... Because she was like, I'm just so anxious about all this, and I don't want to be aggressive or anything, but I want to know which part of her psyche she's struggling with. So I'm like, well, is it that you don't want to break the rules, or you're worried about the virus? Like, do you think I'm going to give you the virus if I come in? Or are you scared about breaking the rules in case someone snitches on you? Or what? What is it? And she just texts back going, both. So I'm like, oh, fucking hell, like... I'll just keep it to FaceTime then, because it's tragic to me that you're not going to let me in the house. I find it upsetting. Like, if you're genuinely pretending to miss me, let me in the house. And then I think, no, lay off her. It's not fair. This is all the fucking mind control and all the disgusting propaganda that they've thrown on people. But just to see how quickly, you know, people... fear and anxiety takes over their lives, like, and they are governed by invisibility. It's like, it's just such crazy things to witness. Golly, and again, you know, I'm not particularly bothered about the lockdown. I've not been anywhere since 2011. But I mean, in all seriousness, I've not been anywhere for months, you know, shopping or anywhere like that. Since all this bullshit started, I've just had an internal protest. Like, no, I'm not going through with it. And again, I've had to laugh at myself this morning, because I don't know what this perception of spiritual is. You know, am I spiritual? I don't know. Like, I feel like my whole life is about my soul's evolution. So, and becoming who I am, you know, opening up to being all that I am, like every shade of fucking everything. And so, yeah, that feels spiritual to me, but I don't sit for hours meditating. I don't, you know, I definitely, you know, smoke a few joints and write a load of shit down. I could call that journaling, you know, or channeling even. So I do these things. I like to meditate. I like to experiment with, you know, plant medicines and watch how my psyche changes and how I can heal myself from the inside out. feels like a confessional this today, yeah. But spiritual, like, what does that even mean? And I've laughed about this with people before, and it's a great chat, but it's like, sweaty top lip. But I've got to talk about what's been on my mind. So it's like, it's been really strange for me because my whole perceived trauma, you know, before acknowledging it and working myself through it, was this disconnect from my parents and this energy, this never feeling like I was loved or nurtured or sort of just given time with whatever. And I can rationalise, you know, that they were both at work and blah, 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 situations were different. And I've worked my way through these things. I've had to acknowledge, you know, the real pain and the real truth of certain things in my childhood as well. And I've also had to talk to my mum and dad about this to get myself through the trauma. And it's been a really tricky journey. And it only happened when I had kids, which was obviously when the cycle was ready to perpetuate and I wasn't ready for that to happen. So having kids was my wake-up call. It was like all this energetic ancestral shit, shame, martyrdom, you know, lack being the biggest one, suffering, you know, just sort of this energetic weight bearing of the whole of my family, just like, ugh. Like having good parts as well, for sure, like me, because that's what I was like and still am trying to get out of. You know, they've got good senses of humour, they're loyal, they're fucking funny, smart, you know. So I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to, but these certain things like alcoholism and, you know, raging arguments between my mum and dad, I didn't want that for my kids. And I am very passionate and full of fire. And, you know, the more I've been looking into the Vedic astrology with the nakshatra wheel and looking at just these deeper ways of looking into connections that my soul has with certain energies, how I perceive it anyway. And it's taken me on such a journey. And why I'm so in love with it, and I think I'll be doing this forever, is for me, it's not so one day I can be an astrologer and I can tell people, especially sort of, you know, the traditional Vedic stuff is a bit, you know, sort of like focused on the prediction. And I was laughing about this the other day with someone as well. It's like, you don't know, I don't want to know if or when I'll get married. It's like, that's just like silly games to me. It's like rolling a dice. But what these birth charts can do, especially involving the nakshatra wheel, for me, again, is that they can give me a mirror for my own bullshit without you know, an impartial mirror for my bullshit. So it's not a person in a relationship or a situation I've created. It's literally, you know, that planet, when I was born, was in that energy, and that was being cast down here and projected off that, and everything's working in a certain way. And, you know, some of these nakshatras, of which I have a few energies in, they're not, you know, they're not necessarily ones that, you know, I would be like, well, I guess maybe they all are, but what I'm saying is I'm noticing the truths in them, my own energy, my own issues, my own subconscious, my own ancestry potentially, you know, just some sort of again, acknowledgements. And my battle is always, are these egoic acknowledgements or are they true acknowledgements? And working through these nakshatras, I'm really finding is just so fucking poignant and just, I don't know, like I mentioned the other day, it sort of feels like my DNA tingles, and I know this is in my ancestry, in my bones, you know, to study the stars. I just know it, and I'm so grateful that I'm actually on this path. So there we go. Oosh, a lot of energy. Such a sweaty top lip as well. But yeah, so anyway, what I'm going to do with the paintings is I'm going to paint myself a nice wheel of how I'm seeing things. Because this is what my journey has been over the last few weeks. What a load of shit this is. I need a drink, sorry. I'm literally buzzing with my own bullshit. My energy's like, ugh. Calm down. Whoosh. I'm just so grateful the kids are at school, and that makes me feel shame as well. This is where I was going to start off with a spiritual. I'm just so grateful for a bit of time. My kids are young enough that they don't have to, wear masks or anything like that. But what the teachers have done now is they've asked the parents to wear them in the fucking playground outside. Obviously, I'm not, and neither's the kid's dad. And there's a few other brave souls, and I'm so grateful for them. Because it's just, it's this culture change and this submission of free will and sovereignty, and, just the overriding energies at the moment, they're enough to make people acquiesce pretty quickly. I see parents who won't even look me in the face anymore because they're embarrassed they've got a mask on, yet they're still doing it, and I understand him, and I'm not judging him. I'm feeling all sorts of different things because, sometimes I've got my head down now and I've had to say to some of the people in the playground, because one girl really pissed me off the other day. She's got, what do you call it? BPD, I think it is. Borderline personality disorder, that's it. And she's a laugh, I like her. And, I wasn't offended. I expect this kind of shit from her, but I was just in the queue picking up my daughter the other day, and I'm the only one without a fucking mask on. And she shouts, "Look at you, badass. You think you're a badass?" And I wanted to just fucking roar and jump on her and pull her fucking gimp mask off her face and bash it back, Oh, in my head, not in reality. Because I didn't want to have to, turn around to everybody or even say something, So it's just like, stand there and just, now everybody's looking at me and I just look like a dickhead. So I just said, I'm outside in the fresh air. It's ludicrous, I'm not being part of it. But I didn't want to have to do that. And these things are happening more and more. Somebody asked me in the shop the other day, and I thought, being how spiritual I am, that I would be able to come up with, a myriad of reasons of why I didn't have my mask on. But what happened was, I walked into the petrol station. She was serving some old man at the front, and she looked up at me. She was clearly in a bad mood. And she said, "Can you put your mask on?" And I just threw her the dirtiest look ever. And when I got to the front of the counter, I said, "I've got a fucking exemption," which I haven't. Oh, and I projected onto her and I said, "I'm sick of people asking me," and nobody had ever asked me before. So I'm not judging anyone. We're all in this shit soup together. And, sometimes I can understand how it's easy for people to just put a mask on and just fucking get through the day. But for some reason, the fire in me and the justice or the truth, I don't know, the truth, or that, I just cannot comply with it. I've never been able to comply with bullshit. But anyway, so the shame as well, because I'm ashamed that, that I really am glad that the kids are back at school. Like, I personally don't subscribe to the fact that they're being abused. They might be being indoctrinated with a slightly twisted curriculum that, I can correct at every turn. But my kids, they're 4 and 6 right now, and they fucking love going to school. They've got great little personalities. They've got great friends. They enjoy the different activities, and they buzz off it. They love it. They want to go to school, and I'm fucking glad they do at the minute, because if things carry on the way they are, there will be some point where I potentially might have to homeschool forever. So my impatience for my own desire will have to be put on hold again. But I kind of feel like this is the first bit of freedom I've had since getting pregnant, 7 years ago. And I feel like I'm coming through a cycle. So, yeah, but I just have to be honest about these feelings, because I'm like, woo! Because they went back to school yesterday, and then after an hour, I got a phone call saying we had to pick them up because there was a gas leak. And I was like, oh, when's this freedom coming? Yeah, anyway. But yeah, I think we've just got to all accept where we are on our own journeys. Like, I'm not some guru. I hope one day that I can, with following my passion and trying to document and learn and grow from my soul's evolution, which I feel like astrology for me, or especially these Vedic teachings, these older things that I'm looking into, how they're making me feel. I feel like just grateful. I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful for my new old car. I'm grateful for my fucking grey wobbly tooth and my two false ones. I'm grateful, super grateful. So I should stop moaning, and realise that everyone is where they are on their journey because they view everything through their own lens. It's just such a crazy time, innit? It's like, there's too much to talk about. I can't be bothered. I want to go and paint now. Whew! Thanks for bearing witness to such bullshit if you got to the end. When I've done my painting, I'd really love to explain it because it's going to look different. Like, I'm coming to realise that not just with the perception of everything in life, you have to find the answers and the resonance inside your own truth. For me, it's the same with this astrology journey. And over the last few weeks, I've definitely moved away from the tropical for now. And this is not to judge or anything to anybody, because I know lots of people on here and lots of friends who are into the tropical and are marvellous at that. But for me, where the resonance is and where my DNA is tingling is the Vedic and the sidereal, especially this nakshatra wheel. Which is the 27 lunar mansions, and Vedic is all about lunar astrology, really. And it's just so juicy for me. And yeah, and I've been looking at stellarium, and again, I'd love to do this for some people. When I've got the time and energy, I'm having a practice on a couple of my friends at the moment, just having a look at the charts in different ways and seeing and asking them what resonates more. But I'm not into the astrology to do readings for anyone else. It's just to further my own knowing and this deeper search into the Vedic and the nakshatras and the myths and the stories and the sutras and all these Indian namey things, which I won't try and pronounce yet. They're bringing me alive, they're setting my soul on fire, and it's and so that's what's important to me. Where I'm struggling, if anyone gives a shit, which they probably don't, but I'm saying it for myself, is so I've gone off the tropical for now, and I'm sort of sticking with the very, very old sidereal zodiac and the nakshatras. But since I've been on stellarium and I've seen where the planets actually are in the sky, stellarium is a computer program, by the way, if anybody's interested, because I'm just knocking out words sometimes. I'll just show you. It's so funny looking at how they turn it into the ball as well. The beautiful sphere of stars that move around, potentially a flat plane, but anyway. So it's like this, and you can find out where all your placements were and things like that, how it actually looked in the sky on the day you were born. So as I was scrolling through my birth chart a few weeks ago, I noticed that I'd got a couple of placements in a fucus, and up until then I'd just felt like it's 12, 12, 12 is the perfect circle, it fits with all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But 13 was coming to me so strongly at the start of this awakening, sort of like a download of strangeness, not a angel number or synchronicity, almost like an audio. 13 is important, it's the 13 or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck is this? So anyway, my issue now is I've seen a couple of astrologers and computer programs where you can get the actual sky into a wheel. So I could either paint it or interpret it using, the things that I'm learning so far. And it involves a fucus. So, you know, in actuality, like if you look up into the sky, the constellation of Virgo is about 60 degrees, I think. It's bigger than, you know, 30 degrees, of which the 12 signs are usually split into. The constellation of Cancer's tiny, and Aries is super duper tiny. But anyway, so I'd got a couple of things. I'd got Mercury and something else in a fucus, and most astrologers would just say that that's the upper house of Scorpio, I think, especially if you keep into basics. But because I could actually see it there, and I'm looking at the constellation, I'm like, yeah, a fucus definitely is higher, and it's quite a big constellation. But it's got a stick, well, the last star in its constellation is actually through the ecliptic point. So I'm like, it kind of is there in reality. My, you know, on the day I was born, my Mercury and I think it was Uranus, they were in a fucus. They weren't, you know, in Scorpio. So I'm not sure. And what I'm realising is that I don't need to find a right answer. I don't think there is a right answer. I think we have to just feel whatever feels right for us, you know. I was just checking that because I'd got a couple of placements there that I wasn't being, you know, like, oh, it must be important because I have Mercury there, you know, just get on some ego complex about the importance of a fucus. But I have looked at a few videos and the energy of it really fucking resonates with me. And this is why I've had to sort of shift over, you know, from the tropical, because I can't deny the truth in how my energy and my soul and my being is very much more associated with the sidereal placements, and these nakshatras are really like, anyway, fuck's sake, half an hour of bullshit. I'm going. My point is, I'm just going to go with whatever feels right to me. It doesn't matter, you know, it's just I need to be resonating with it. And I'm looking up, I'm seeing things. How does anyone else feel about a fucus in the comments? If anybody's interested. I know there's fucking so many people who know so much more than me. I feel like a twat to speak sometimes, but hey ho. So the problem of the week is a fucus. And obviously a fucus isn't even involved in the Vedic shit, I don't think. I think that's purely like modern sort of strangeness. But God, I'm learning so much. I wish I could talk longer, but Mark's on his way back now and he needs this work. Whew. Anyway, gratitude. Thanks for being here. Thanks to myself for allowing myself the courage to be a disgusting disgrace of a spiritual being, but to feel free because of the truth of it, you know. So my teeth are fucked. My nose is sweating. But I'm a good soul on a journey. Adios. Goodbye. Thanks for being here.